Alright, g'day folks, Phil here, next 72 hours, coming to you from out and about in a local park. And today we're going to be having a look at the PLB1 Rescue Me Personal Locator Beacon from Ocean Signal. I've had this for about 4.5 years now, and it stays with me on my pack or on my person on any search and rescue trainings, activations, local walks like this around the park, more further afield outdoor activities, and occasionally with me at work as well if I'm heading out to a remote location where there's not going to be great cell phone signal coverage. These are made in the United Kingdom, and Ocean Signal is part of the ACR family. So we did a review some time ago of the ACR Rescue Link 406 megahertz personal locator beacon, and this comes from the same family. I think it was the Rescue Link Plus actually. Anyway, I'll link that down below. At the time of this video though, these were ranging anywhere from $479 all the way up to 569 New Zealand dollars. It does quite an investment to make, but if you break that down over the 7-year battery life, you're looking at 18 to 20 cents per day. If you were averaging one trip away a fortnight, or even one trip away a week or a hike a week, and you were carrying this, then you'd be looking at anywhere from 50 cents to $1, up to about $2 per trip. You couldn't hire it for that much. It's more expensive to hire them if they're charging, and that's a huge amount of peace of mind for $2 a trip. It's very, very cheap when you break it down like that. Anyway, what we're going to get to next is the basic details on the size and weight of this unit. Alright, so onto the size and weight. This one comes in at a whopping 114 grams, which is around about 4 ounces, which is incredibly light. I'd say it's definitely the lightest unit on the market. It's also the smallest one at the time of recording on the market as well. In height-wise here, we're looking at 75 millimeters, 7.5 centimeters. From side to side here, we're looking at 51 millimeters or 5.1 centimeters, and the depth here across the top, we're looking at 32.5 millimeters or 32.5 centimeters. So very, very compact indeed. The beacon itself does not float, unlike the ACR Rescue Link Plus. And for that reason, in New Zealand and Australia, it comes with this little flotation pouch here as a requirement of the legislation. Outside of New Zealand and Australia, it's an optional extra that you can purchase. So it also came with a back clip that goes onto these little pieces on the back here, but I never ended up installing that, and I've kept it in the pouch ever since I've had it. And the pouch has got a nice wee loop on the back here, so that can just be affixed to your belt, or if you wanted to carry it on your pack. I was always taught to carry it on my person. That way if you get separated from your pack, you've got that beacon with you at any point. And a little bit here, we're going to walk over to the river behind us, and we're going to throw it in and see if it does float. I've never actually tested that, so why not test it out today? Next, we'll move on to a little bit about the makeup of the antenna and what all the buttons and parts are. Alright, well, let's take a quick second to go over the basics of this unit here, an overview. You've got obviously the beacon itself. At the top here, you've got the antenna rewind knob, as they call it. So once you've deployed that antenna, which you do by just pulling out, and we'll show you that shortly, you use this knob here to wind it clockwise, and it takes that antenna back in. So you don't stuff it back in, you just wind it or rewind it back in. The antenna pull grip is here. That's the little black bit here. It's elongated on the side here, so you can get a good grip of it, either with wet or cold hands or gloved hands, and pull that up towards the sky. You then have the strobe light, which is this one here. This is going to be flashing on activation. And then you have the indicator light as well, which is hidden behind here. Then here you have a lift up flap. It's controlled by a spring, and it's pretty strong if you're a bit concerned about accidental activations. If it's in the pouch, very unlikely, but if you weren't using the pouch, You could easily put a rubber band or something around there to stop that. And then at the top of the device here, you've got the lanyard fixing on the rear of the case, so I would say more top here, but if you look at the top, you've got a little place here for your lanyard. So you can either use the flotation pouch, which in this case is permanently affixed, or you could use another lanyard to attach it. Yeah, cool. And then we'll just have a look at this flap here. So try to keep my hands out of the way, but you've got the flap here, comes back, and you can see the red on-off button and the T for testing. And that's got quite a good spring to it there, so very little chance of it accidentally activating. But if you were worried, you could either keep it in the pouch or use something here to secure the front door or the flap latch there, so it didn't accidentally activate in your pack. Anyway, now we'll take a look at how to turn it on or activate it. Alright, so let's have a look at how we might use this, or how we might operate this device if we find ourselves in a situation, a life-threatening situation, either for ourselves, someone else in our party, or maybe a party we've come across. There's a multitude of reasons why you might want to activate these devices. Also, if you're trying to make contact with emergency services and they're having trouble locating you and you've got a beacon, they might ask you to activate this as well. So as far as activating the beacon, the first thing you want to do is light down. You want to have these as flat as possible. And it says up here there's a GPS antenna, keep clear view of the sky. So that's right at the top here, just by the hinged door. Next you want to, if we turn it around here, you've got the black pull knob there. You want to grab that, hold on to the black part and pull it up and extend that antenna until it stops moving and it is facing the sky like that. And then all you need to do is open up the little door here and hit the red on-off button for at least 1 second. Hold it down for a second. It's the same process for testing it, and then let it close like that. Try not to be too rough with this door here. It only goes back 180 degrees. If you push it any further, it's going to snap on, likely. Once this is activated, you will get a green flash of the light here, of the the green LED will flash once. That's when you're able to release your finger, and then during the operation it's going to flash green once every 5 seconds until the GPS has obtained a fix on your location. Once that fix has been located, then it's going to flash 3 more times in a quick succession, and then time a 406 MHz transmission is made, the LED will also flash quickly 5 times. Green for a transmission with a GPS position, and red for a transmission without GPS location. The LED will flash red every 2.5 seconds, while the 121.5 MHz homing beacon is also activated as well. If you're operating this over water, tether the beacon to your body or to the life raft, keep it clear of water, and if you're on land you need to lay it down as flat as possible, and always keep it in plain view of the clear sky. As far as accidental activations, let's say you do activate it accidentally and you realise that, the unit's not going to start transmitting an alert until approximately 50 seconds has elapsed. That allows you time to turn it off again. And if you have done that, you just need to make sure you check the batteries and that they're good to go for use again by doing the self-test function. And that's effectively how you operate it or activate it. If you find yourself in that high-stress situation of needing to do so and you can't remember, the instructions are included on both the flotation pouch if you have one, and on the side of the beacon itself. So it just says deploy the antenna, pull back the latch and push the red button to turn it on for at least 1 second, and it's as simple as that. Alright, so now we've learnt how to activate it. What happens if you accidentally activate it or you've finished with the beacon during an activation? Well, once the activation is completed and rescue is aware or they've advised you to turn it off, or you've accidentally activated it, all you need to do is open that flap up there and hold down on the red on-off key again. Once it has been deactivated, that LED light will flash red twice to indicate, and then you can release your finger off the button. Then all you need to do is rewind that antenna back into its casing using the rewind knob at the top there. Don't force it back in, otherwise it's going to end up damaging it or snapping. Alright, so I guess something that should briefly be noted are false alerts. These seem to happen all the time. I'm sure they happen around the world. They definitely happen here in New Zealand with search and rescue and the police. People incorrectly dispose of their beacons and throw them in the trash, for example. Ones with expired batteries because they think it might be too expensive to replace them. And inadvertently they activate and they result in thousands of dollars of wasted time and call-outs trying to locate that beacon and make sure that no one is in danger. So if you are finished with the beacon and you're no longer going to use it, say the battery's expired and you don't want to replace it, go online. I'll put the website address on the page here. I think it's beacons.org.nz. Find the the right place to dispose of that in the correct manner. If you've got it in the pack or on your bag, just make sure that there's no access to this latch here. Either keep it in the pouch or strap it up in some way so that it's not accidentally activated. And make sure your details are all right online as well, because if you do activate this and it goes through to the RCC, Rescue Coordination Centre, they're going to be making contact with your emergency contacts and check that everything's all right, and that would be an easy way for them to determine that it's an accidental activation and stand everyone down. And then if you realise that you've accidentally activated it and you haven't been contacted, if you're in New Zealand or Australia, give them a call. New Zealand on 111 or Australia on 000, for example, and let your local emergency services know that you've accidentally activated that beacon, and then they can stand down any rescue services that might be underway. Alright, so let's just have a very quick chat about how these actually work, and I'm going to oversimplify it here. On the off chance that you find yourself having to activate the beacon, either for yourself or someone in your party or someone you've come across, or for whatever reason, the device is going to send out a signal to the COSPAS SARSAT International Search and Rescue Satellite System, and to the nearest one within reach. That satellite is then going to notify the nearest ground station. The distress call gets relayed through a local user terminal and then Mission Control Centre, MCC, and then that is passed on to the RCC, or the Rescue Coordination Centre of the country or region that you're in. They then begin arranging search and rescue operations. In New Zealand, it's the Rescue Coordination Centre is just up north of Wellington, and that's the RCC NZ. And that's why it's very important that your beacon is registered. All that information will then automatically be available to the Rescue Coordination Centre, who can start making contact with your distress contacts, request information about you, any activities or trip plans that you might have had, so that it can help them coordinate the response. How you get rescued, that depends ultimately on the location and circumstances and the availability of responders, the weather, the terrain, and all things like that. It could be helicopters, it could be ground teams from Landsar, it could be Coast Guard, police, the New Zealand Defence Force, nearby vessels. Any number of people could come to your assistance. The only other thing to consider is that assistance might not be immediate depending on your location and weather conditions. So you do need to be prepared to at least look after yourself until rescue can get to you. But that itself is another story. You can always visit the Adventure Smart website here in New Zealand, and if you're New Zealand based, and have a look at some of the things you can do, tips you can take before you head out on your trips and might need to activate one of these beacons. So having looked at that, let's look at some of the other functions here. Alright, so I'm not at all keen on having this beacon disappear, so what I've done is I've just tied it up with a little bit of paracord-like material, and then I'm going to go and I've attached it to a spike there in the ground, and I'm just going to chuck it in the river there, and hopefully there we go. You can see it is floating on the top of the water there. Alright, so that effectively brings us to the end of our review of the PLB1 from Ocean Signal, the Personal Locator Beacon. If you're looking at it thinking, oh, it looks a bit wet there, it is. We've just thrown it in the river for the flotation test and it passed with flying colours, so you will have seen footage of that. If not, I'll put it shortly for you to see. Let's take a quick look at the pros and cons here of the device. Pros, you've got a 7-year battery life. Of all the beacons on the market, that's up there at the very top end. You've got a 24-hour plus operational life at temperatures above 20 degrees Celsius, so if you need to set this off, you can be assured that it's going to work for at least 24 hours, sending out your GPS location and homing signal to get rescue services on the way to come and help you. While there is a reasonably steep initial cost to the device, now that's debatable in itself. Some would look at that as a con, but as we discussed earlier on in the video, if you were to break this down over a 7-year period for the battery life, you're looking at 18 to 20 cents a day, which is really not that bad at all. It's nothing compared to the fact that this could save your life or the life of those that you love or other people you come across that need urgent assistance. So if you ever had to use this only once, then it would well and truly pay for itself. It's very lightweight. It comes in at 116 grams, so for those that are conscious about how much they're carrying with them, you'd barely notice this. It can be kept on your pack, or it can be kept on your person, which is where I like to store it most of the time. You've got the retractable antenna there, so it doesn't stick out in the way. Very easy to use. Pull it out and then twist it back in. If you do accidentally activate it, you've got about 50 seconds to cancel that activation, meaning you can turn it off without sending an emergency signal and getting all the associated issues that come with that. You've got a very bright strobe light. You will have seen it activate today, but at night time I can tell you it's very impressive. And that's going to leave you feeling a lot more at ease or comfortable knowing that that device is activating and getting rescue on its way to you. Again, there's no subscription charges like some of the other devices. There's the initial outlay, but the only other cost really would be the replacement of the battery at the end of the 7 years. It is waterproof to about 15 meters. It's not a floating device, which is could be a con, but you can get the flotation pouch, which we've tested out today. And if you are in New Zealand or Australia, the device will come with that pouch as well. Once you've registered the device in the country of purchase, then it can be used anywhere in the world, wherever you go. So it is important to make sure that you do register it in the country that you purchase it from. They all come coded differently. That's one of the risks with buying second-hand online, and also not being too sure about the quality of the battery that you're getting. And once it has been registered, then you can use it anywhere in the world. One of the other amazing things about Ocean Signal, which I guess we should mention, is the Survivor Club, which is a fantastic thing. If you happen to use your device and in the event of a rescue or for whatever reason you need to activate it, you can actually provide them with your story to the Survivors Club there, and as a part of that, I guess as a thank you or as a part of that club there, they will then provide you with a replacement device. Obviously there's terms and conditions, but I'll put a link here to the Survivors Club so you can have a look at some of the stories of where these have come in handy, and there's countless stories on the Survivors Club there for you to read. So amazing devices. I can't think of too many cons at all. You could say the initial outlay, but that's no different to any of the Garmin devices or the other Spot devices out there, and you don't have those yearly subscriptions. So Thanks very much for watching. Appreciate any comments or questions if you want to leave them behind. And until the next time, we'll catch you in the next video. Keep safe out there and keep prepared. Cheers.